it works for the most part, but then you always get someone whose internet is bad or someone who decided they wanted to do it from outside. And you're like, can you please go inside because your internet is bad and you're breaking up.
Yeah, that's the thing I was concerned about, because like I was telling you, we live in the country, and if I use up all my high speed on my desktop, I have to work off my iPad, but my iPad should be fine.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we're going to get started. So welcome to In the Know with Kat Bobino. Today, my extra special guest is someone I've known a good portion of my life. That's Dr. Jane Krotzer. She is a professor who recently retired from Stillman College. And Dr. Krotzer, how long were you at Stillman?
25 years. Yeah, started in 1995.
Oh my goodness. And what made you go to Stillman of all places?
I actually started at Stillman it was an odd happenstance. I had lost my job with the state. I worked at a community college, and we elected a new governor, and the governor cut the budgets, and all of us that were not tenured were let go. And I heard through a friend of a friend about Stillman, and that someone was going back to get a degree. And they said, why don't you come and teach for a year or two? And I did that, and of course met wonderful people, both students and faculty and staff and administration, and never did leave. I stayed 25 years. So it had to be something good there.
Had to be. And so I am an alum of Stillman. I was there from 2000 to 2004. And we were just talking about it, but having your classes were one of the hardest science classes at Stillman. I would only say the person harder than you was Dr. Dore Raj in chemistry.
I knew that. Absolutely.
She was the only person who, made it a little bit harder. But other than that, you really got us to learn, especially in animal science and zoology and taking the labs. And it was amazing. And looks like we have our first person coming in. But yeah, I want to say thank you to that, because we had a great time learning. And although it was tough, it was one of those things where you just made it fun, and you became one of the professors that even now, almost 20 years later for myself, we still remember, and we still we still talk about, and we are still thankful for having you. And Edna says hello on Facebook, by the way. And
hi, Edna.
And so we do have people who are going to be joining us periodically through the podcast because they wanted to say their own things to you. And if anybody watching wants to say something, you guys can always join us on the Zoom. I can give you guys the link. But we have Kendra Royston, who also says hi.
Hi, Kendra.
Yes, and I just met Kendra actually via all of this. So thank you for that.
Good. That's your network.
Mm-hmm. So how was it for you working at Stillman for 25 years?
For the most part, very rewarding. In latter years, they asked me to take on more administrative responsibility, and I like to think I did a good job of that, but I have to say that I missed being in the classroom and getting to know students. I don't know the students that are there now as near as well as I knew you guys, because, I saw you every day or every other day. But it was a challenging place to work. We never had enough money, but that's the story of most historically Black colleges and universities. But we still made a way. We still did the things that we needed to do to help students along their journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm not sure who's calling in, because like I said, so many people want to join in. So if you're from the 317, feel free to jump in at any time. But I can see that you're on, but we can't hear you. But anyway, so how was it working at an HBCU?
Well, like I said, when I first got there, I was obviously kind of nervous. I mean, I grew up in the 60s in the South, and, I was went to segregated schools. And so when I started there, I was a little nervous, but I found out real quickly that students were responsive to me and to what I had to offer. And I enjoyed myself so much that, you know, I never wanted to leave. I had opportunities to go to, you know, bigger places and all, but Stillman was home for me. And I felt like, you know, all the students that I met along the way, you know, kind of kept me grounded and kept me wanting to come back each year.
That's amazing. Hey, Deandra, I see that you're on and you're muted. Did you want to join in?
Oh, goodness. Dr. Krotzer?
Hi.
Do you remember me?
I do, absolutely. How could I forget you?
Oh my goodness gracious. I look at you and you look exactly the same.
Well, that's the wonder of cameras, because I don't, but that's okay.
It's so good to see you. Oh, wow. This is like a blast from the past. Wow.
Yes.
Years, like, whoa, years.
Okay, Deandra, you're not making that better for any of us on here.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. I am so glad you're still working at Stillman, encouraging students like you encouraged me. It's just awesome to see your face because it brings back so many memories.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Deandra, you know, Dr. Krotzer is retired now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes, but I'm still affiliated with Stillman, of course. I'm helping out with getting commencement ready, and I'll always be around. I'm not leaving the country or anything.
Okay.
Unfortunately, none of us are.
No.
Yes.
Is there anything specific you wanted to say, Deandra? I see more and more people joining us.
Nothing other than thank you. You're one of the key, you and Dr. Agassiz are my key biology professors that really impacted my life and encouraged me along my path, even when I was discouraged and felt as though life was over. You always encouraged me to keep going.
Absolutely.
All that you've done. It's such a blessing just to see your face and just, yeah.
Well,
Great.
thank you. Thank you. And you keep doing what you're doing great things. It's a pleasure to hear from you.
Oh yeah, Dr. Deandra Harris is out there doing cancer research in LA. So she's doing great things.
Wonderful.
I try. Driving me crazy, but I try.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, so many of the students that I've met over the years at Stillman are doing just amazing things, and some of it is career-wise, but it's not always just a career. I look at the families and raising children and doing all the wonderful things that people are doing in their communities and their churches. I mean, it's amazing what you guys have done with your lives, and it's very rewarding to have been a part of that.
Yeah. Been awesome.
All right, Deandra, thank you. You can stay on if you want to, but I'm gonna give other people an opportunity to speak. And the next person who joined us, I'm sorry if I mess up your name, Andrea.
Hey, Dr. K, how you doing?
Hey, how are
me?
you? Yes, I do.
I'm doing
great. That was my basketball player.
Yes, you gave me a hard time, but I appreciate it all. I had my mom laughing because, like I said, I came from a background where my mom stressed education. Even though I was a good, basketball athlete all around, she always stressed academics, and I thought she was crazy because coming up, I couldn't make a C. If I had a C, I wasn't going to a game, practice. She wasn't having it. So all the coaches knew, so they'd be like, "Hey, your progress is coming out. What's on yours?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think I'm fine." But I appreciate the push, even when I was online. I think you knew, but I tried to keep that under wraps, but I think you knew.
Yeah, it was usually pretty obvious, you guys. You thought you were being real sneaky, but you weren't.
Yes. But I appreciate everything. I always tell people I fell into teaching and coaching because my original goal was to be a pediatrician, and that was what I set out to do. But with the sports background, I kept getting offers to teach and coach back home. So I was like, I'll give it a try. And I did, and I thank you for what you did because I was always that teacher to try to make my class fun, try to keep the kids engaged. And you was one of those teachers, besides a couple I had in high school, that actually showed that you cared outside of teaching. And I appreciate that. And I made sure I brought that into the classroom, with my students because it is a different generation, but as long as they see that you care. Because one of the teachers, she was like, "How do you have classroom management?" I was like, "I told them I'd kill them if they do something crazy." What you mean? But I really don't. But I think it's just my presence. A lot of them, respect me enough. Especially with coaching and everything. But I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm actually going back now, 2 kids later.
Okay.
I still play ball. I do personal training and stuff. But I'm actually going back now for my master's in secondary.
Good. That's wonderful.
But like I say, I appreciate everything. Like I say, you was a great teacher. Like I said, even when I left and I emailed you, you made sure you reached out to the people that I needed and helped me. And so I appreciate you for always treating us as if we were your own kid.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Y'all
gonna make me cry now.
Please don't cry. Please don't cry.
And I extend the same thing to you. If you want to stay, you can. I'm gonna let the next person, Kendra, who's on. So Kendra, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm just over here grinning from ear to ear, listening to what everyone says about Dr. Krotzer, because it's true. And it's just a testament to how genuine you are. I remember my freshman year coming in to register for classes, and I was only thinking about band. I wasn't only thinking about band, but that was like my number one priority.
Band was up there, right?
Yes, band was up there. Band was paying the bills.
Yes.
But I remember coming in and Dr. Krotzer, you looked at my schedule and were like, you can take chemistry and biology at the same time. Like, I'm like, but I'm already taking calculus, or not calculus, or it was a math. I can't remember which one. And you were like, you can do it. I'm happy that you pushed me to do that my freshman year, because it put me on track, it put me on target. Right. And that being challenged in that first year, it taught me time management, and it also encouraged me to go above and beyond and pursue graduate school. So I'm really appreciative.
And out there doing wonderful things. We're really proud of you.
I'm trying.
And keep giving back too. I know don't you have a scholarship that you're working on for Stillman?
Yes. So last year or this year, we awarded 2 $1,500 scholarships from my foundation, and I'm hoping to extend that to other HBCUs in the coming years. But it's a work in progress. So.
Okay. Well, that's great. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing that you're working on scholarships for Stillman after, going there and getting your PhD and coming back. So thank you for that. And Dr. Krotzer, we got a couple comments. We are all so thankful, truly one of the greatest. And Chanel Nicole Adams, I put your whole name out there, /Griffin now. She says, that to please tell you hello, and your presence definitely had an influence in her becoming the professor she is today.
Wonderful. Yes. So many of y'all I haven't seen, in the entire time you've been gone. I kind of can keep up with folks, but it's nice to hear that name. Because Chanel was from California too, right?
Yes, she was.
I got it.
Yes, she said, look at that. Now, telling our age, that was 20 years ago, and Dr. Krotzer remembers. But it was Letitia who said that we're all thankful, and Sherry who says you're one of the greatest. And then a Keon, most definitely one of the best ever, beyond grateful to have been taught by her. And Tyler said, that's my dean. So
Tyler, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know how much we know about you, Dr. Krotzer. So can you tell us more about you? Like, yeah, I know you said where you were from, but how was it growing up there? And tell us a little bit more that we don't know about you.
Okay. Um, well, I know this won't be too big of a shock, but I was kind of a tomboy growing up. Liked being outside and like doing nature things, and I really thought that I would probably end up being a veterinarian. That's kind of what, when I went to Sanford in Birmingham, I kind of thought, well, I'll go to veterinary school after I finish my undergraduate degree. But as soon as I got to Sanford, I had really, really good professors, and they made me realize that, you know, science and biology was much bigger than I thought of it. And so because of their influence, I started thinking, well, you know, I'd kind of like to teach, and I'd like to, what I thought I would do is I would do behavioral research and, you know, go out in the jungles. And I traveled a lot as a college student. Had an opportunity to go to Peru several times and down into Central America several times. And so I thought that I would kind of do field research, but then I also realized about myself that I really don't like roughing it too much. So once I kind of got into it, I was like, well, I think I'll just teach. You know, I won't be a field biologist. But as it turns out, now that's what I love doing. I do a lot of butterfly research. Well, not research, but I do a lot of photography. And we're doing, you know, trying to understand the life history of the different butterflies and things in our area. And so, you know, the biology has stayed with me. The love of nature has stayed with me. So I think that's probably, I mean, y'all know that about me because I always use dragonflies and butterflies in my lectures, and, you know, bored y'all to death with stuff like that. And y'all thought I was weird. But, you know, it's the passion. It's what makes me happy to just take pictures of things like that, and to share that with other people, make them see how beautiful nature is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I want to remind everyone that we are live on Facebook. And even though this is my podcast, I welcome everyone who's on here who wants to ask Dr. Krotzer a question or have a comment. Please feel free. You can join the Zoom. You can unmute yourself. You also don't have to stay if you don't want to. You can always go. But I do want to encourage you that this isn't about me. This is about Dr. Krotzer today. So we want to ask her or comment anything to her. You're more than welcome. Chanel says every time she sees a dragonfly, she thinks of you. So
Yeah.
And I see
I probably use those a lot in my lectures.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, I see all the pictures that you put on Facebook of all the places you're going, but you're not leaving Alabama at the same time, right? Most of that is just in your backyard.
Yeah, local, just local. I mean, in fact, my yard, I mean, I have flowers everywhere and butterflies everywhere, and I have a pond in the back that we built just so we'd have dragonflies and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're staying really local right now. I did have a trip planned to Oregon for my retirement party, if you will. But that just had to be put on hold for a little while, but we'll get out there eventually. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian too. And so when I went to college, I had that whole idea in my head that I'd go into vet medicine and work with animals. And I think after undergrad, when I actually worked for vets, I realized that's really not what I wanted to do.
Right.
It seems like a fun job, but it is stressful. It is a stressful job. And I appreciate all the vets that are out there. But for me, I don't think I ever got onto the actual teaching aspect of it, but I do like talking to people about science. I don't know if I would be in a classroom and seeing the same people every day, because I think they would annoy me. Going to grad school and just teaching lab, I was like, oh no, these students think they know more than me and they're going to test me. And all I did was teach lab. I didn't even teach the class.
Yeah.
So I think kudos to every professor because you guys are stronger than me. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I never got irritated as a student in 25 years, Kat. You know that.
Yeah. No, right? Never. Yeah. But Stillman College out there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, by the way, is a small private HBCU. And it was the way I got there was, I don't even know how I got there coming from California, but I did. And as one of the leading professors at Stillman, was it for you that was like your main goal or your main thing that you wanted to accomplish when it comes to teaching students?
Well, you know, you want students to find their passion. You want students to find a way to make a living. And when those two things come together, it's perfect. But I don't think that I concentrated so much on, I mean, I had students over the years that came in with a focus, and that was all they thought about, and that's what they did. And that was rewarding for me. But I have to say that it was just as rewarding to see someone maybe come in and struggle and maybe even leave sciences and go to another area, but find something that made them happy and they felt fulfilled doing. There was, and I won't be able to call her name. Yeah, I will. Do you remember Numarishelle Ferguson? Do you know that name?
I don't, but it looks like
Okay.
Yes, she's
Yeah, she actually was an English major and finished and got her degree. And Dr. Carter and I were talking to her one day, and she said, you know, I'm going to come back and get a biology degree and go to pharmacy school. And we were both like, that's the stupidest thing, you know, Dr. Carter, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But for her, I mean, she was serious. She came back, did all of the biology and chemistry and physics courses she needed, and then went back. I mean, she already was, I think she had a couple of kids maybe at that point, you know, when she's Delta.
Mm-hmm.
And she went on to Xavier down in New Orleans and got a pharmacy degree. So, I mean, it's seeing people find their way through education. I mean, education is not for everyone, you know, higher education is not for everyone, but seeing people find something and connect with it. I mean, to me, that's just rewarding. It always has been.
That's awesome. Chanel just told me, she was like, you know who Shelly is. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about
Yeah,
that. Right.
it's Shelly.
Yeah.
Y'all knew who I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know. But yeah, shoot, a couple more comments. Amir says, Dean made graduating on time and pharmacy school a reality for me, and I'm forever thankful or grateful.
Yeah.
Franklin says, hi, Doc, great to see you again. Danica and says, my dean. Jocelyn says, Dr. K. So, you know, it's a lot of people actually on Facebook right now who are watching and
Hi, guys.
But yeah, did you want to add something, Andrea? No, he was unmuted.
For me, I never thought I would be in a classroom teaching. That was not my original goal. So to be teaching in a classroom and understand, you know, everything that y'all went through, just being up in front, my whole thing, I play sports and I was in front of a crowd, but to teach in front of 30 something students is totally different than playing a sport. So that was my thing, you know, that I took from it. It's just, like I said, I'm supposed to wear a white coat right now, but things changed. Like I said, when I had my first son, that's when I realized that, okay, I don't think I really want to, because I was actually in a program here in Mobile. And that's when I decided, like, maybe I'm going the wrong route. And I had a principal that told me that I was chasing the wrong dream, but I didn't want to accept it, because she was like, give me one reason why you want to be a pediatrician. I was like, I like kids. She was like, but why? And I didn't understand it. And then when I did some soul searching, I understood that I didn't really fall into teaching. That was my journey. That was my path.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, one of the things that when Kat and I were talking earlier about, you know, staying at Stillman 25 years, that certainly was not my original thought. But I had a chance to go back to Samford, which was where I got my undergraduate and my master's. And I remember going in and telling Dr. Carter, you know, Dr. Carter, I've had an opportunity present itself. They want me to come back to Samford to teach. And I said, you know, I've always wanted to be at a private liberal arts college, you know, with a church affiliation where I can make a difference. And she said, okay. And I said, well, so I'm thinking about going back to Samford. She goes, no, you're already there. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did just describe Stillman. And she said to me, the only difference is, Mary Jane, if you go back to Samford, you're going to be helping kids that are going to make it no matter what. If you stay here, you have an opportunity to, I mean, and I don't ever want it to sound like I think that I did something. I just was there on y'all's journey. You know, I was just one person that kept pushing you the right direction. But to me, that's been so rewarding. And you know, for me, it's made all the difference. I mean, I could have made more money going somewhere else or doing something else, but you know when you're making the right decision, and you can feel it, you know, as you go through your career if you've made the right decision.
That's awesome. And you did a lot, actually. You did a lot for a lot of people. There's so many people. I'm trying to keep up with these comments on Facebook, but there's so many people that you touched that, yeah, to say you just a part of the journey, like you were the journey on for some folks. You were the main reason that people stuck to what they were doing. So yeah, I have Kendra says, I just think it's great how Dean remembers everybody who walked Stillman halls. You know, and so Nicole says, hey, Dr. Krotzer, thanks for being you and helping me. And Maya says she's pushing us to keep going. There were plenty of times I could have given up, but that village stood by me. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. That's nice.
Yeah. So you actually did a lot. And so that means that, goodness, we were there like almost 20 years ago. So you were still kind of new teacher when we showed up. Maybe like 5-6 years in.
Mm-hmm. I didn't feel new. And, you know, I had been teaching for a long time. You know, I taught all the way through graduate school too. So I think that made a difference because the longer you teach, the more you learn about how to get connected with students. You asked me how it was being at Stillman. I think it was my first year there. There were 2 sisters and a cousin. They call themselves the Bigs. If somebody will remember them, Sinitris Hankerson. The two sisters sang in the choir, and they called themselves the Bigs, and they were big bone girls. They were big, you know, and they'd sit in the back of the classroom and they'd cut up. And you know how I am in class. It's not that, you know, it's not that I mind somebody talking or asking a question, but I want you focused on what I'm saying. Because I've got 50 minutes to get a lesson to you, get you the knowledge you need. And so one day I'm writing at the board and I turn around and I realize that they're gone. They'd slipped out the back. So this was down in 104, 106, you know, it had doors at both ends. So I snuck out the front door and caught them going in the women's restroom and followed them in there. And I just read them the riot act. You come back in my class and you sit down and, you know, and I'm just going off on these girls. So by the afternoon, that story had made it all over campus. And Charlotte, Dr. Carter, came up to my office and she said, did you follow them in the bathroom and fuss at them? And I said, yeah. I was thinking, oh, I'm fixing to go home. I'm going to get fired. And she goes, nobody can believe you did that. Those girls could have killed you. And I said, well, I never thought about it that way. And she said, oh, they wouldn't hurt you. We're just kidding, you know. But that's those kinds of things. I mean, you know, that the fact that I felt that comfortable with students, and they felt that comfortable with me. I mean, I think that's special. I don't think you have that everywhere.
I don't think you do. I mean, I've gone to, what we call PWI, predominantly white institutions, and I've sat in a classroom where the teacher doesn't know who you are, and you're just a number, or you're just one of the people who are taking the class. And, there's not a lot of professors at those types of schools who will follow you in the bathroom and make you take the class, But at Stillman, there actually were quite a few teachers there, few professors who might corner you and be like, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you need to go back to class, and you need to.
Or come get you out of the residence hall.
Oh, yes. Come get you out of the residence hall. And then there were some professors like Dr. Agason, God rest his soul, who I used to sneak out of physics and go to his office and talk to him instead of being in physics. And he allowed it, unfortunately, or fortunately, but I needed somewhere to go because physics was just over my head. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to kind of fall asleep in that class, but at the end all be all, I still passed the class. That didn't let me come in there enough to fail. So, but you guys
I think with Stillman, they actually cared more, because even with playing sports, most of the time you're just an athlete, so they don't really care even when we miss because of games and stuff. And y'all actually care, because you're like, hey, you still got an assignment, you still need to do this. And I remember it was a math professor. I used to fall asleep in his class, but I made an A. But as long as I got the concept, I would go to sleep. Well, after one class, he made me stay. And he was like, why do you keep going to sleep? I was like, I really understand what you're saying. I'm sorry for going to sleep, but I just got out of practice, and I'm sorry. But he didn't have that to say, and he could have told me, don't worry about it, you're an athlete. He didn't do that either. He was just like, I need you to be up in my class, and I need you to do this and that. And back what you said, going to a PWI, when I first went to University of Mobile here, it was a professor, and I had to take AP over for the program that I was in. And I got so used to and accustomed to y'all helping us and, always being there. Well, he wasn't there. Like, even when I had my son, I had a C-section, so I was out. And just to see that he really didn't care. One, I was a number, and it's like, well, yeah, I understand you had a baby and you had a C-section, but I still need this due at this date. And I was like, wow. But, our professors, or, that's when I learned that everybody's not going to be, like most of the professors we had at Stillman.
Yeah, you're right.
We had some good professors, though.
Yeah, amazing professors. I went to graduate school too, and it was like, nobody didn't care. It just didn't matter. Like, you figure it out. Everything was figured out. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I almost went crazy going to graduate school.
Yeah.
But there's no place like Stillman College, and the professors, the friends, it's just, the whole experience was like amazing. And I don't know where they get teachers like you guys, but I hope that that's still there. That's why when you said you retired, I was like, wait, they don't have you anymore? Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, and, thank you, ladies, for that. And there's someone on Facebook who said two things, but I feel like I'm a straight butcher their name, and I'm so sorry for butchering your name. But Quintarius said that Stillman is great and that they cared about not just the class lessons, but life lessons as well. And Letitia said, I was just about to say our experience was special and money can't buy that. And Kendra said, very family-oriented environment. Dr. Dore Raj would do evening chemistry tutorials until 10 or 11 at night. And that must have been after I left, because when I was at Stillman, Dr. Dore Raj would be like, I don't understand this. She said, did you read the book? It's right there. I'm like, I still didn't.
Dr. Dore Raj was doing it when I was there, because I was in every one of her classes. Like, that's the only reason why I passed chemistry, like in her face 24/7.
I had Dr. Ejeto, and he was just like straightforward, get it done. If you even look like you was putting your head down, it wasn't happening. But I mean, like,
Miss.
yes, he was like, Miss, I need you to lift your head, Miss. Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
And
but I loved it though.
You remember him stomping his foot, right?
Yes.
I was in a class with like some of the football players, so yes, he always stomped his foot. Yeah.
We knew we had idiosyncrasies and did weird stuff. Y'all can make fun of me when I'm not here.
But all in all, it was just one of those things that it's one of those great experiences that we can still talk about to this day and be like, yeah, this is what happened. This is how we did it. And you, Dr. Krotzer, are one of the main reasons. Chanel says the HBU experience is like none other. Having matriculated at PWIs and being involved in grant writing, research shows that those who have attended HBCUs have higher success rates in completing their PhDs. Zoology was the first class I failed, not because I wasn't able, but because I was homesick and wanted to go home. And Dr. Krotzer welcomed me back during the second time in her class and loved me through it.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't think I almost failed zoology because I actually love zoology, but I did have one moment where I had went to a friend for Thanksgiving to her house in New York. And when we came back, we had no ride to Stillman. And for whatever reason, they just wasn't picking us up. And I was like, I have a lab test in like 2 days. I have to go back and keep studying. And yeah, I didn't even get a lot of studying done. And I was like, Dr. Krotzer, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And Dr. Krotzer was like, you just don't do it. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take this test.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of sympathy there, was there?
No, not at all. But it was fine. I still passed zoology, so I'm thankful. But yes, that was one moment I was very nervous about it. And Dr. Krotzer was like, yeah.
And you know, one of the things that's interesting, I'll have students send me an email and say, hey, I need a letter of recommendation, but I know I didn't do that well in your class and da 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 da. And I'm thinking, I don't ever remember that. I mean, I don't remember whether someone did well or poorly. You know, you remember people that maybe should have found another major, but they generally did, you know. But it wasn't about like an A, remembering an A student versus not remembering a C student. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. You remember the people, you remember, you know, the effort they put in, and you will remember, you know, students that had a particular joy about their classwork versus, you know, being fussy about it. You do remember that. Mary Ruth Steele had commented when I got ready to retire, and the first thing I wrote back to her was, man, I remember every time I told you something, you and I got in a fuss. And she goes, I bet we still would. And we probably would, you know, but it was never, you know, it was always good natured. It was never confrontational.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and so the person whose name he said I didn't butcher it, but I go ahead and call them Q. But
yeah.
So Dr. Gray and Dr. Krotzer was like Shaq and Kobe, the perfect team. And Robert.
Well, I want to be Shaq.
You want to be Shaq? Robert says, first of all, he like all caps said, hey, Dr. Krotzer, and then lowercase said, oh, and hi, Kat and Deandra. So that's a little rude, but whatever. But then he also said you were a gem and he never took you, but you were so warm and loving and you haven't aged a bit. And he's very jealous. He's all gray now because he want to be, you know, talk about, don't give us any credit, but that's cool. Yeah. He says you haven't aged as well.
Yeah. And you know, over the years, I've had a lot of, you know, kept in touch with a lot of students that I never taught. You know, I see people at homecoming and they'll come up and start talking to me and I'm thinking, now who is this? And then they'll tell me a story and I remember the story and I'm like, oh yeah. And they, oh, I wasn't a biology major. I was a history major, but I was friends with so-and-so. And then, you kind of make the connection. So.
Well, that's amazing that you touch people's lives that didn't even take your class,
Well, I think Stillman's just that way. I mean, it's a family atmosphere. I mean, we weren't afraid to get in, like I said earlier about, going to a residence hall and telling you to get up out of the bed and come to class. I mean, I never did that to you, but didn't have to. But, some people, I mean, a lot of faculty did things like that. It was a family atmosphere. We really, cared about our students and wanted them to be successful. And y'all, what I was going to say earlier, that one of the other differences that I really see is the fact that y'all care about each other. I cannot name you 2 people that I went to college with that I am still in contact with. And I'm not an antisocial person, that.
Yeah.
But y'all made a connection there with each other. You used to study together. If somebody was failing, you'd think everybody was failing because y'all would work and help each other to do better. So it's just it's a totally different, environment than PWIs. And I don't, I've only been at one HBCU, so I don't know what it's like at others. I suspect it's very similar to Stillman, but I know what Stillman is like, and it is a very family oriented, and students care about each other and help each other to be successful.
Yeah, and studying for your AP classes, like if we had a lab test, I don't care if you knew the person in the lab, they'd be like, how you remember this? And you just tell them your secret, and everybody, like you said, we just helped each other out. You made sure the next person didn't fail if you had a better way. So yeah.
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 Because I'm an only child, so that was the biggest thing for me, because I'm so used to just relying on myself. And even when I played, it took me out of my shell. So even though I played sports, but that was the biggest thing for me, because I'm like, I could study on my own, but to be in the study groups, and now, doing grad, they do a lot of group settings, and I'm like, crazy. But, I miss Stillman.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you do go to an HBCU, because my best friend and I, when we were in high school, we both got into UC Davis. But I got a partial scholarship to UC Davis, but I got a full scholarship to Stillman. And my parents were like, oh, no, we got 4 kids. We're not paying for you to go to college. We already paid for these other 3. You're going to go where there's money. But because I wanted to be a vet, I thought UC Davis would be the best place. But at this point, as you stated, like I'm still friends with so many people from Stillman. And she does not have any friends from UC Davis.
That's right.
At this point. So yes, to what you're saying, it's such a different atmosphere. And it's like at a small HBCU, the teachers care about you, so then you care about each other.
Yes.
It becomes this like domino effect that we want everyone there to succeed. So that's
it was interesting to me when I first got you asked me earlier about the difference or what I felt when I first got at Stillman. One of the things that I had to adjust to is that I had been teaching as an adjunct at places like Birmingham Southern and Montevallo and Sanford, and most of the students wanted to go to medical school. So they were extremely competitive. If they wanted to get the highest grade, but not only did they want to get the highest grade, they didn't want anybody to get close to them. So when I first got to Stillman, it was kind of different to me because I didn't see that competitiveness in the classroom. And at first that kind of bothered me, but as I really realized what it wasn't that you weren't, a particular student wasn't trying to be the best. They were striving to be the very best they could be, but they had no problem with bringing someone else with them. And that's the difference.
That's awesome. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. So Kendra says she's singing Stillman's praises to the rooftops. I missed it as soon as I left. Couldn't replicate the feeling the faculty and staff provided for us. Q, he said, Dr. K cared and supported all Stillman sports clubs, everything in between. And Letitia says she remembers you leaving labs open for everyone to study. And Danny says,
until somebody stole the skull. And I was pretty upset about that, but I got it back.
Okay, yeah.
They returned it.
Any of our classmates, but yeah. Robert, he told me to shut up, by the way, because I was called him gray. But he said, we all wrote our thesis papers together. Didn't matter your major or anything. We came together as a family.
Yes. Terrific.
I was not an English major. And I forgot what one of my professors told me that was like, when you're in science, you're not an English major. So that's why if you look at science journals, there's always grammatical errors.
That sounds like an English professor. I don't believe that.
But yes, it was great. And so Dr. Krotzer, we thank you so much for all that you did. I'm not kicking anybody off. We got like 15 minutes, but just saying thank you. And as you can see, so many people just adored you, and Stillman, by the way.
Yes.
And so now that you are retiring, what's next for Dr. Krotzer?
Well, as I said, I'm doing a lot of photography and work. We have a website, so I'm always working on improving that and getting more butterfly pictures up, more dragonfly pictures up, trying to understand the life history a little bit better. So I go out pretty much every day and take photos of things and collect things to look at and understand more. I want to get back to my artwork. That was something that I did when I was a lot younger. I did a lot of artwork, and I've not had a chance to do that. And so I'm going to start drawing again. I know y'all know I'm an artist. I drew on the board all the time.
You did. Absolutely.
So, yeah, so I want to get back to that as well. Express my creative side.
What is your website?
haysophill.com. HAYSOPHILL.com. The little town that we live in is called Haysop.
I was gonna
and
say
we live on a little bit of a hill, so that's what we came up with.
I'm gonna say I'm not a English major, so you had to spell it. But yes, so Q says to ask you about your first encounter because you guys wanted to kill each other. Do you remember that?
Yes. I believe that we were in Brown Memorial Chapel, and I don't remember what happened, but I remember something happened and I did want to kill them. Yes, you're absolutely right. See if I'm correct. Is he giving you a thumbs up on that?
Not yet, but okay. I'm sure he'll say something soon. And then one of my friends, Steve, he says he missed out by not attending an HBCU. And yes, you did, Steve, you missed it because we had a great time.
We did.
Q is laughing. He sent a lot of laughing emojis.
Yeah, it was something to do with his fraternity. I seem to remember he had a purple coat on or something like that. And something happened at Brown Memorial. I don't remember. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember the details of it. I just remember in general but I loved him. After that, he was in my class, no hard feelings. Everything was great. Well,
Q, if she hadn't have said that, then we would have had to fight you because you can't come for which you're not gonna do. But he said yes, he got in trouble for answering the phone when his mom called.
Oh, yeah, I remember that too. Well, a lot of y'all did that.
Not us, because we're dating ourselves, but we were back with flip phones and we still had phones in our rooms.
Right.
So we weren't answering. They were these newer generation.
Yeah.
But we weren't answering our little flip phones because, first of all, I don't even think we were really into cell phones like that. And texting was just too hard, pushing all those buttons.
Yeah, pushing all those buttons.
So, Mary Ruth Steele, you mentioned her. She said, Dr.
Mhm.
She was hard, and I really had to use my brain, but it was all in love. And Robert said, yeah, there was payphones in the hallway. Yeah, I remember getting a phone call on the payphone in the hallway. That's, man.
Y'all are old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, we're not old. That's not, no, we're not old.
Still
But
young.
yeah, we're still young. We're still young. Just we just said we didn't have minutes. That's probably why we didn't answer our phones. Yeah, we didn't have minutes. You had to call us after like 7 or 9.
Yeah, them plans weren't unlimited back then.
We had to wait until the evening time. Oh my goodness. But yes. So with Dr. Krotzer, now we learned a little bit more about you. And if you don't remember her drawings, she is a fantastic artist, especially when it comes to insects. And make sure that you go to the website and support, because Dr. Krotzer has been supporting us forever, and she still supports us. So if you have an opportunity to support her, make sure you do that. And as we are closing out, if anyone has anything else to say, you can join. I see someone is joining us now. We're just waiting on his audio. But yeah, we're going to, when is the retirement party? You might have missed that. She can't have a party because of Corona, unless we have a Zoom party, you know?
They did. It was interesting because at homecoming this year, they did have a little get together out at the president's place. And so I did get a little bit of a send off. That was nice. Didn't realize it was going to be, the end all because we thought we had time. But then in March, everything just kind of fell apart. So, but this has been great to, when I posted the retirement picture a couple of weeks ago and so many wonderful comments came in, it really means a lot. And then tonight to get to see some of you and hear your comments, it's very rewarding. I love you all. You've been wonderful students and alums and friends, and I get to see your families now as you go on with your lives. I'm just very excited for all the wonderful things you've done and that I've been a part of it.
That's awesome. I think I could be wrong with this last homecoming. Weren't you in the tiger outfit?
That was actually, we were getting ready for SACS, and I've been the SACS liaison forever. That's our accrediting body. And so we were trying to get everybody fired up about SACS coming. And so I said, well, this is my last year. There's something I've always wanted to do. And my buddy that was there with me, Dr. Germay, said, well, what is it? And I said, well, I've always wanted to be in the tiger suit. And he looked at me, he goes, are you serious? And I said, yeah. And he said, we're going to make that happen. So the entire pep rally, I was in the tiger suit, and there were only about 2 people that knew who it was. And I was dancing and, doing all this stuff. And when I took that head off and people saw it was me, I brought the house down. They could not believe that I had done it, but it was so much fun. I like to have fun, You got to live life till its fullest.
Absolutely. When I saw the pictures, I thought that was hilarious and something that I would do.
Yes.
I see, Willie, you joined us. Did you want to unmute and say anything?
Hello, everybody. Hi, Dr. Krotzer.
Hi, Willie. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm sorry for the time. I didn't read like the little time zone distinctions, but I think Dr. Krotzer already knows how I feel about her. I love 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 her. She's been an incredible mentor to everybody that I know. And what's funny about this, I will say, is when you do have a teacher that you think is all that in a bag of chips, and then you recognize that so many other students feel the exact same way. That's what blows my mind. I can't say enough about the lady. I failed her. I've told this story even in my teaching. I failed her biology class with a flat F, a big old giant F. But she's the only F I ever got from a teacher, and I still loved her. So I came back the very next semester. It was all behavioral problems I was having as a freshman in college. And But I came back to the same lady and made it A. So I never will forget it. One of the greatest teachers I've ever had. And Dr. Cross, I really appreciate all of the service and years you've given Stillman, because it has to come out of your heart. But I see it, I've noticed it for years, and I really appreciate it. How much weight did you lose in that tiger suit? Because I happen to know it's really hot in there.
I don't know, but I gained it all back for COVID.
What's next, Dr. Crosser? Are you going to retire, or are you going to take pictures? Are you going to keep archiving nature? What are you going to do with your extra time?
Just have fun and hopefully get to travel. If we get all this stuff taken care of, we're going to travel and take lots and lots of pictures and fill y'all's Facebook pages up with them.
I look forward to seeing them.
All right. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
My friend Steve, he put out all these insect names, and I can't even remember how to read them, so I'm not even going to try. But okay, Steve, I see that you are all into the insect photos. Kendra says, thank you for putting this together, and thanks for sharing yourself, Dr. K. Edna says, thank you. I implemented some of your teaching strategies when I taught. Again, you're one of the best. Robert says, we love you, Dr. K. You have touched so many, and your legacy is everlasting. And he's laughing at your COVID weight comment. And Mary Ruth said, you will truly be missed, Dr. K. You helped groom a generation, and we love you for it. And they are also saying that we should have a Zoom party for you. So, if anybody wants to, for real, have a Zoom party for Dr. Krotzer, she's not going anywhere. Corona is not letting any of us go anywhere. So we can always do it.
Sounds like a plan.
Dr. Krotzer, I have a question. Are you going to stay in Tuscaloosa, or are you going to Livingston?
No, we live outside. We live out in the country in Bibb County, and built a home there. So we're not moving anywhere. We're staying right where we are.
Tell all your relatives in Sumter County I said hello.
I will do that, sir. Thank you.
As Dr. Krotzer, as we are about to end, is there anything else that you want to share before we end this podcast?
Just to thank you for organizing it. When you put me on the spot the other day, I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I thought, yeah, I do. I mean, I get to see and hear from students that I haven't heard from in years. And so this has been really fun. I'm just so proud of all the things that you guys have done over the years. And I know you will continue to do wonderful things and just keep me a part of it. You are in some ways my children. And I'm always excited to hear about what's going on in your lives, career-wise and family-wise and personally and everything else. So thank you very much for doing this for me.
You are absolutely welcomed. And as I end, we have one more or two comments. Joy said, oh my God, my favorite, Dr. Krotzer. And Edna says, we love you bunches. And Robert says, you have found the fountain of youth. And where is it, Dr. K?
In Bibb County. Don't go there.
It's in Bibb County. So thank you all who joined us via Zoom and wanted to share your stories and speak with Dr. Krotzer. And thank you all who joined us on Facebook. And I'm just going to say, I hope you guys have a great night. And Dr. Krotzer, I know we're going to always keep in touch, but thank you again for being a part of the show today.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.